got somebody who's brave enough to spin the wheel. Let's see how it goes.
So funny, oh my god.
Go ahead, give it a spin.
Oh,
Give it a spin.
I'm not touching that thing.
Alright, I'm gonna spin for him, guys.
That's crazy.
Which way to spin next? Okay, never leave that.
That's cool. Oh my god.
Could be a head shave, mohawk, eyebrow slit.
I'll take it, bro.
Spin again?
That's so fun. How many people actually spin it? Really?
Oh, you don't want that. That's a 5-minute barber's choice haircut.
Oh god.
We've had us a bit of a debate at the shop, and he actually goes to a different barber when he's away to college. This guy seems to think cutting blonde hair is super easy, fading blonde hair is super easy, and I've cut hair for long enough to know that it can be easy, so he's not exactly wrong, but it can also be kind of difficult. To build the proper gradients to make his fade look the way it would look if his hair was darker, it definitely takes some skill, it takes some practice, and you have to be patient, and I'm gonna show you guys a bunch of keys to the game to get this done the right way.
The good news is the barber has already chosen what haircut. I chose what haircut I'm gonna give him.
Let's get this started off the right way. His hair is super thick. Blondes actually have the most hair per square inch. So the tool that I wanna pick up here, and some of the first tips we're gonna get into, is the Instinct Trimmer. The Instinct Trimmer has the ability to speed up when it senses resistance, allowing me to just plow through this whole process, saving me time because it's back to school week. Now, as I get up to the end point of the blend, I'm gonna start flicking up and out, and that's actually going to look a little choppy, but you gotta trust me and trust yourself, because what we're actually doing here is we're softening that line. So I'm not too worried about it on the sides. I wanna make sure that this is accurate, but once I'm done putting it in with that trimmer upside down, you'll see me flick up and out again, right side up, and what that's actually gonna do, that's gonna cut the hair as short as it can be, and it's gonna reduce the next jobs that we gotta do, which is the electric shaver. Now, with the electric shaver, when you have hair that is this thick, we need to be using something strong, and that's the Instinct Shaver. It speeds up also when it senses resistance, and it just plows through this, making my job easier. My only real goal here is, let's just use this comb as an example. I wanna stop about 1 tooth width away from where I ended with my trimmer, and I want to see pretty much no lines here in between where I went with trimmer and my shaver. And if that means I need to tap down and come with the grain, tip it on an angle, use just a corner, I'm gonna use every trick in the book to make this easy. Now listen to this thing cut. It just powers straight through the hair.
I'll give Gene back his $5 next time I see him.
This is the correct tool for the job. You can hear that motor speed up as it encounters that resistance, and it just lays waste to the hair. Now, real quickly, I could just begin my blend right now, but that would be a mistake. Everything we've done so far is phase 1, removing bulk. So, with that being said, look how I'm leading the clipper into the comb. I'm smushing the hair down. All I'm actually doing is pre-cutting this section, which is going to make my blending much easier. You will notice when you blend into super long lengths, the clipper has to go through more hair. You're not able to see what you're doing as well, and you're not able to get a feel for the blend, and you might take the blend a little bit too high. So a huge key to the game here is make sure that you've pre-cut some of that top section, probably to a 1.5, but at the very least to a number 2. So in the next section here, we're gonna go to phase 2, which is clipper over comb. And all I'm going to be doing is being careful about how I touch my comb with the clipper. I have the boosted up from Gamma. It's a super powerful clipper. It can easily go through this bulk. It's actually pretty quiet too. And my goal here in this section is to just start to build a passable connection into the top. Don't be afraid to tip this in. Your goal here is to look at the mirror, make sure that you're starting to build a pretty good silhouette. If one side needs to come in a little more, so be it. This is not about perfection here. This is about building kind of like a rough draft, a rough outline here to get this where we want it to be. So using the clipper, we're gonna hold it like a pencil, and I'm just gonna build a little bit of a shape. This is not very hard. I know a lot of you guys make it out to be more difficult than it is, but if you notice, sometimes I'm using my pinky, sometimes I'm using my knuckle, and I'm kind of doing that to kind of create the space and the shape, but really I'm cutting more intuitively. I'm letting my eyes guide me on where I need to go, and I'm paying attention to how it's looking. It's not coming out choppy or anything like that. That could happen if the clipper isn't sharp, if the clipper isn't cutting well, but when you have a clipper that's cutting well, and also a fade blade kind of helps here, because if you see somebody cutting clipper over comb and they got a guard on here, that's amateur hours. The whole point of clipper over comb is for me to be able to see everything that comes through this and make that shape. And how could I do that if I had a number 2 on here and I was guessing how much is gonna actually come off? I don't wanna do that, that's amateur hours. So learn to do this the right way. An easy way to practice this would be on a mannequin. Get a couple mannequins, it won't take you long, and you'll start to master this before you put it into practice on a real person. Next, big key to the game, we're actually gonna start our phase 4. Phase 3 was actually cutting the top, but because he wants to keep the length he has on the top, but we're gonna texturize the living shit out of it, and I'm gonna show you how to do that, but he wants to keep the length that he has on the top. So we know where we're starting from, skin, we know where we're going to, the length that we have, and now it's time to get it done. So, quick little tip, we're gonna put the open taper guideline in, push the lever all the way down, and we're gonna set in this guideline. The reason we start behind the ear is very simple. If I'm going to make a mistake, if there's going to be a surprise, if anything happens that I don't like, I'm gonna be able to fix it easier back here where there's more hair than if I just like blow out his sideburn or something. So I like to start there just to get a feel. Normally people are a little bit thinner towards the front and thicker towards the back. So that's where I like to start. And also as I reach the top of my guide, I'm going to start flicking up and out. My next step here, my eyes were telling me that spot above his ear was bothering me, so I decided to slap on a half guard, and I pretty much always do this. If I have about a 1.5 length here, I can go straight to a half guard, open it 2 clicks, and there are so many times where I don't really even need to do anything else. A lot of times I'll get the blend perfect here, and this is a huge time-saving tip. Skip the 1 guard, go straight to the half guard. They actually overlap. We've talked about this before, but generally you can sandwich the half guard between the 1.5 if you're careful, and a lot of times you can get that blend perfect. But of course, this is blonde hair, so I'm going to have to dance around a little bit to get that gradients right, because with blonde hair, we could just make it disappear, and then we're gonna lose all of our gradients. So that's why I'm picking up some higher guards and mixing in some lower guards. And if I feel like I need to jump back a step, which I did on this side, I jumped back to the number 2 just to make sure I held the clipper flat. I got everything the way I wanted it to go. And now I know we still have a little cleanup there, but we're actually going to start knocking out that bottom line. Close the clipper all the way, and we're just gonna be using 1 tooth or the other tooth, keeping it on an angle. Generally, a good practice for somebody who's newer at this would be to kind of try to isolate like 2 or 3 teeth as you poke into that bottom line, and you can start clicking it open one at a time. So little by little, we'll start pushing this lever down, and we're gonna start getting that to fall into place. Let's do a little sound testing here. This clipper's super quiet. I believe it actually measured, let's see here. I've been using the crap out of this lately. So let's see what we got. It's bouncing between 70, 71 decibels, which definitely is a very quiet clipper. I would say the threshold for when it's too loud would be about 77. That's when it starts to get, a little bit uncomfortable. But generally speaking, I really love the body. I love the shape of this clipper. If you're a fan of like classic shapes, classic clippers, this gives you all kinds of power, a little more powerful than the previous model, 7,200 RPMs, a different motor, a high capacity battery, and it's just an overall pleasurable experience using this clipper. So now I've got my number 1 on here. That's where my eyes told me to go. I'm gonna start flicking up and out, and as you guys can see, the blend on this side is starting to come together pretty good. Another thing that people do all the time, I've noticed, and I've done it too, you start to get obsessed over a spot that you're trying to fix. Like I got this little spot above his ear that's pissing me off. I can't seem to get it. I've tried a bunch of different things. I'm gonna give you guys a good piece of advice here. Just move on. There's something that like happens, we get hyper focused when we're cutting and we're just trying to fix this, and eventually you're gonna make a mistake. So I've learned to just go ahead and move on. Maybe try switching clippers, something else. So I'm actually switching over to my 360 EAZY clipper, which I can actually hear cut with the Echo Crunch blade, and it's 0 gapped. Chad found out the other day how close these clippers cut. You gotta be super careful when you pick up somebody else's stuff because you never know how they cut. But as you guys can see, the 360 EAZY was 0 gapped in such a way that I was able to get down a little bit lower, which also means that when I put guards on it, it's gonna cut a little bit closer too. So now we're gonna jump over to our texturizing shears and further fight with that spot. But as I started to kind of get my bearings with what this hair wanted on the other side, I made a slight adjustment that made the whole process go a little bit faster, a little bit smoother, and a little bit more linear. So with that being said, let's hop over to the other side after using our texturizing shears. All we're going to do here is we're gonna put the clipper in the open position. We're gonna use a really soft kind of amount of pressure at first. I kind of like to keep it tipped out here so only the teeth are cutting, and then I start to lower the bottom half. And what that does is that puts in a very soft guideline, and our goal here is to put the guideline in about a finger's width wide. Sometimes you might want to stretch that. It just kind of depends what the hair is telling you, but I know that this is gonna work out pretty good for his hair. The next step I'm actually going to do is I'm going to jump to the 1.5, and I got this thing fully closed, although I might open it or close it a little bit as I feel like I need, but I love to sandwich my blend like this. So all I'm going to use next, I'm going to use the half guard. So I used the 1.5, I got that all buffed out pretty good. Now I'll jump to the half guard. There's so many times when doing it like this, you can usually sandwich the half and the 1.5 really well, and you're almost not gonna have to use a whole lot of number 1 guard. A lot of times you can get away with that, and that's something that's really sped up my process. I would say just about like over the last year, I've really started to do this more. I'm really quick to pick up that half guard, and I'm not afraid to kind of flick and feather into those sections, especially with like something like the boosted up. This clipper, it doesn't run as powerful as like the instinct motor, right? This is a lot more forgiving. So for like somebody who wants something to run a little bit slower, a little bit easier to fade with, a little bit more forgiving, maybe want to give the boosted up a try. Excellent clipper where it has the extra power that you wanted from the previous model, but at the same time, it's not overpowering for somebody who's relatively new to cutting hair or a difficult situation. So as you guys can see, this side is buffing out pretty quick. It's very easy to work with, and everything that I did actually worked on this side. That's not always how it works with cutting hair. Sometimes you just have to cut hair intuitively. You have to let your eyes guide you on where you're gonna go, and you're going to start to dial in the blend, but it might mean that you jump back a step, jump forward a step. Whatever you gotta do to get the haircut done. I'd say most of the time when I'm cutting hair now, I'm literally not thinking about anything. Listen to how the 360 EAZY helps with that Echo Crunch blade. I just want you guys to hear how, even in a loud environment, that particular noise of the Echo Crunch just cuts through. Now, I can't run it too much for copyright reasons, but as you guys can see, when it comes to getting rid of that final bottom line, the final boss, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna switch over to them 360 EAZYs with that Echo Crunch blade. I'm going to give you guys a couple of tips. We're just gonna use a corner and we're gonna poke it into where that trimmer line was. And if you have a zero gap clipper, it will also cut closer when you put guards on it. So that's that little tiny difference that you start to learn as you improve in your craft and buy better tools. If you have two tools that are set a little bit different, it really gives you a lot of opportunities here and a lot of options to get the blend cut. So in order for me to get this blend a little cleaner, what I like to do is wet it down and comb it down so I can try to bring out any potential problems. And we're gonna use a little texturizing shears or shear over comb. Just due to the thickness of his hair, I chose to go with texturizing shears, but most of the time, I pretty much almost always just use shear over comb, but the process is really the same. A very thin comb, a taper comb would be a much better option than the one I got in my hand, but the goal here is to just move the bottom thumb and start to dial in, and you can get really specific. You don't have to worry as much with like clipper over comb. You might take off more than you want. This is when we can get really specific and we can really start to dial in this blend. So with that being said, we're gonna cut the top, and really there's not a whole lot to this top cut. I'll show you, all I've really done was set the mohawk guideline the way I normally do, but I don't plan on taking length. I'm just planning on putting a bit of texture in here, and I'm using point cutting as my method to do that. So once I've got my guideline, which barely was anything, we're just gonna go through in little rows here. So my guideline was here, we're gonna cut focusing on this spot, focusing on this spot. And then once I'm done with those sections, I'll put him sideways and I'll cross check it vertically. So that's really all there is to that particular part. Now we're gonna blow dry his hair up and back on his head. I wanna make sure I put the blow dryer as hot as he could take it, and I'm just trying to expose what type of edge up we can do. All I really wanna do here is try to square off them corners. If I got anything kind of funny going on, no, I do not wanna push him back. He doesn't really wear his hair up and off his head like this. I just wanna make sure that if his hair is sticking up a little bit more, it doesn't look too funny. So it's just a very, very light cleanup here in that section. And then we're just gonna follow up with the razor. So now that we've got all of our steps done, let's check out what his blend finally came out like. I actually did do a little bit of razor cutting on the top just to kind of further bring out the texture. I'll have to show you guys some of these little techniques that I'll use at times to just try to thin it out in certain areas. So let's put a little street cream in it. Let's bring out our style. And I think it's really important, and it's another big key to style your clients before they leave. Even if they don't really want it, even if they're gonna wash it out, sometimes it's best for you to see how they're gonna wear it, because I can't tell you how many times I put some product in there and I still managed to cut like a little bit more. So a lot of times that particular area that I'm talking about, it's always this area right here, like right in the front, right in the corners, especially if they spike it up. A lot of barbers leave this shit really long and it just sticks out and it doesn't look good. So a lot of times I'll go back and I'll kind of dial in those sections. So that's actually what I'm doing as I start to kind of style this a little bit. I'm checking those sections. I'm making sure they're not laying funny, and they are laying a little funny. So I decided to go back in there with just a little shear over comb and make sure that my silhouette is looking good. And that's after it's styled. And you know, I think this cut looks really good on him. I think keeping it square was really important. So any hairs that are not doing what I want them to, they're gone. If I feel like I want to add a little more texture here, I will. And what do you guys think about the cut, man? Drop it in the comments. Also, I wanted to ask you guys, do you guys think blonde hair like this is easy to cut, or do you think it's hard? It definitely presents certain difficulties, but I think we got this one. We knocked it out of the park, and I hope that it helps you guys, man. I hope that you guys just get a chance to watch these lessons and learn from them. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. We do have over 1,000 videos like this to help you learn, and we're grinding on more every day. So you want a haircut? You realize it's back to school season. I'm a walk-in barber. I got 19 people waiting. I probably could get to you in like 11 hours. Or if you want, you can head over to bookedin.com and you can book an appointment with me. You could just come in, sit down, get your hair cut and go. And it's really better for everybody involved. Obviously, back to school season is pretty chaotic for barbers. Everybody's trying to get in at the same time. And one thing I've done that made my life a lot easier was I got a scheduling software. So the scheduling software I like the most is actually bookedin.com, and you guys can head over to bookedin.com/Eddie, and they're doing some pretty big discounts if you guys just want to give them a try. They're actually letting you use the service for free, so you really can't beat that, and it really simplifies my life because the client doesn't need to download an app. They can literally just put their name in, pick what they want, pick what barber they want, and boom. From my end, I can extend the appointment. I can do whatever I want to do. We can set repeating appointments like every 2 weeks. I got that for a lot of people. It just makes my life easier. And if you haven't considered it, give it a try.